Hey, everybody, we are back. We are back after a busy September with the Cloud Communications Alliance, the CCA. I'm here with Joe and Clark, my brothers in arms here at the CCA. And I wanted to provide everyone an update because it has been a busy month for the CCA and its amazing community. Before we dive in, maybe for those few people who don't know who the CCA is, Clark, who's the Cloud Communication Alliance? Why is it one of the best kept secrets in tech, let's say, not in cloud?
Well, and I don't think it's a secret anymore, but it's
The secret's out.
Yeah, that's right. Cloud Communications Alliance. It started about 14 years ago, and really is an alliance of all those who focus on communications in the cloud, and has recently become more broad. You know, when you have the security guys in the cloud and the data guys, Zoom's a member on the video side. So really, those that help people with their solutions from the cloud are most likely members of the Cloud Communications Alliance. And we started out as a more of a U.S. alliance, and now it's grown globally to be the largest alliance globally, and probably about 40% of our members outside of the U.S. and growing. So it's not a secret anymore, and yeah, like you said, a incredible month of events both in Europe and in the United States here in September.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into some of the key insights and findings from those get-togethers for those who maybe weren't attending, who were and didn't manage to connect with everyone. And Joe, you're the master of ceremonies, the ring master for these events. How did it go, in your opinion?
Well, it was great. We had just gotten back from the Cloud Communications Alliance meeting in Copenhagen. I got home, got a chance to wash my underwear and throw it back in the space. And
TMI, Joe.
it
TMI.
was,
Yeah.
oh, sorry about that. Anyway, so we jumped back on a plane. I was back in New York City. It was great, and I really a shout out to Zoom, Phone.com, and Telecom Bridges and Jabra, who are our three sponsors for the event. They just helped us put together, really, I think, a top-notch event in one of the greatest cities in the world, New York City.
Yeah, New York City is back, and yeah, those are amazing vendors. And the CCA, Joe, it's a community of cloud communication providers, hosted service providers, managed service providers. But there's some great vendors in the community too. I know Zoomtopia has its big event this week. How do they play in the mix?
Oh, well, Zoom is a good member, a good partner. Funny thing about Zoom sponsoring our meeting in New York, because Zoomtopia was this week, our representative from Zoom got up and he said, legal has told me I can't say anything because Zoomtopia is next week. So he got to wave at us, but it was great. The best part about having Zoom as a member of the CCA is that when I get together at cocktail parties and people say to me, "Who is the CCA?" I now say, it's companies like Zoom, and everybody knows right away what we're talking about.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the definition of a cloud provider is so broad, so vast now that the mission at the CCA is really an important one. So, Clark, let's start with Copenhagen. First of all, first question: did you ride a bike to the event? Were you on a bike the entire time, or not?
I walked, but I did ride a bike at one point just for fun. But what a great city! Wow. I mean, I actually videoed people riding bikes, so they knew I was American, right? But when when you sit there and you just watch, thousands of people ride bikes to work, and they're wearing their suits and dresses and whatever, and just it's just a great city, very clean, and seems like vibrant city, and I've never seen so many people on bikes obey the rules of the streets there while they're riding their bikes. It was nothing like New York. So it was
Yeah,
very
good luck doing that in Boston, New York, really any major American metro. And speaking of clean and nice, sustainability was a big topic in Copenhagen at the Jabra headquarters there. What were some of the takeaways? Some of the insights that you can share after the event now?
You hit sustainability. I'll hit a couple of the other AI and the others there.
At the AI. Oh, so say okay. I'll start with sustainability. Yeah, as Evan said, we had two main topics in Copenhagen: sustainability and AI. On the sustainability front, it was probably the first time the word sustainability was mentioned at a communications meeting in the history of communications. Because we talk about solutions and about software and customer experience, but we talk very little about sustainability, and especially in Europe, because our products are displacing the traditional phones that are sitting on people's desks. So what happens with those products? And we have a
Hmm.
responsibility, a legal responsibilities in some countries in Europe, but also have an ethical responsibility to our environment to make sure that equipment is getting disposed of in a proper fashion. And likewise, there's also data on all that equipment. So you have a data
Hmm.
privacy play as well. So these are topics that were brought up in Copenhagen that really have never been discussed before. And it's probably the only place you're going to hear that is at a Cloud Communications Alliance meeting.
Yeah, it's e-waste is a huge topic. I was actually at a big telco event from NTT Research, and the top design goal for their next generation network, optical photonic network, is sustainability. So yeah, they're talking cloud and 6G and all this stuff, but it's designed for sustainability and power. Green, green cloud was their number one top of mind. So you can see how many countries this is taking hold. Clark, what else to you really struck you from the event? Any personal takeaways?
Well, the other big part of it that was really phenomenal was we had Microsoft speak there. Microsoft, who did the $10 billion deal with ChatGPT, OpenAI, right, talked about why they did the deal and then actually demoed, for the first time I had seen, Copilot, which is now
Mm,
everybody talks about AI and AI. Everybody's got AI in their marketing material, but this was Microsoft's demo of actually how Copilot harnesses AI to now integrate it with all of your other Office 365 solutions. So they were showing, me being able to talk to PowerPoint and talk to Excel and build a new spreadsheet through AI, helping me build a spreadsheet in Excel, things like that that were really cool. And the first time I had seen it, and, so both Microsoft's and where AI is going or how they've harnessed it with Copilot, and then being at Jabra headquarters, which was just a phenomenal location and the building. If you ever get a chance to see the Jabra HQ, then what a place. But they actually demoed some of their new cameras, where four people were
mm.
sitting there, and it's separating all of us out and zooming separately with all four of us. And just the video technology that Jabra demoed there was really cool as well. I had never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like hybrid work is alive and well. It's the way of doing work now. What was the feeling among the members there, Joe? I think this industry, despite a little bit of retrenchment around COVID and fully remote, is as robust as ever. Is the mood upbeat within the cloud
Oh
community?
yeah, yeah. I mean, AI and as I said before, sustainability is breathing a. I mean, not that the industry needed to breathe a new life. It's probably another life or a second life. But it just everybody's excited as heck. There was a company. One of our members there at in Copenhagen was in Reach, and they talked about how they're using AI to kind of make their customers more scalable. They talked about a small cab company that they've kind of used AI and created an app now where that small cab company can compete with the likes of Uber. So that's what's really going on right now in our industry: the incorporation of some of this new technology in the, if you will, the old way of doing business.
Yeah, well, the old way. If you're stuck in the old way, you're not going to be on the in the mix for much longer. Um, and Clark, what was your impression from New York City? Really, a gathering of the best and brightest in the finance space, CFOs and other stakeholders. What were some of your impressions in New York?
And so shifting to that, I mean, that was the CCA Financial Summit 2023, right, in New York, and there we are in the financial capital of the world. And so we thought it was a time that's critical as far as financing with the capital markets the way they are, IPO market the way it is, interest rates as high as they are, inflation and pricing, a lot going on that you could do a lot of things right in your company. And if you don't take into consideration these financial elements, you could fail, right? And so we brought in the brightest and the best experts in the space on the financial side. So you had really three key elements. You had a CEO group and really top CEOs in our industry who've recently done deals. So how did they do their deals? What was it about? How did they position the companies to do those deals? How do you make your company attractive for those deals? So kind of a CEO panel, people who would raise money. And then we have the top financial investors, right? So we had investors in our space who talked about how why they invested in our space,
Hmm.
what attracted them to it, where the market's going, what you have to do for the future, where the capital market's going to be here in the short term that you need to consider. Some really good, news that they should consider, whether it be tough news or good news. It's news that you got to consider. And then third, the third panel was one I moderated with all the top analysts. So you had, Catherine Trebnick and Elka Popova, John Anderson. You had Dimitri Nettis. I'm probably missing one there, but you had all the top analysts there in the space talking about where they think the space is going and what you need to be prepared. Matt Townend, who was our partner with Cavella, was also on the panel, right? So you had all these analysts really kind of predicting the future and looking into their crystal balls and helping our audience know what to prepare for, where the space is going overall.
Oh, that's so exciting. And Joe, talk about some of the deal making that happens at CCA events. I know a lot of the buzz and excitement is, between the presentations and the keynotes and that sort of thing.
There's been billions, and with a B, billions of dollars of deals done as a result of Cloud Communications Alliance meetings. Really the biggest deals in communications have happened as a result of CCA meetings, and so what we try to do is we try to weave in a social aspect to all of our events, and New York was no exception. We started out with a pretty cool dinner at City Winery at Grand Central Station. Now, if a lot of us have traversed through Grand Central Station, but if you haven't sat there and had dinner, you're missing something. So we actually had a sit-down dinner in Grand Central Station, inspired, if you will, by Cornelius Vanderbilt. So what Cornelius did, back in the early 1900s, we're doing today with Cloud Communications Alliance. So we did weave in this pretty cool social dinner to kind of kick things off, and then we continued. If you will, the social aspect. The next day, we had the panels that Clark talked about, but we kind of weaved in enough time for people to kind of just network and kind of get to know and meet each other.
And I will say, from those I talked to since, I had an analyst call this morning. They said the dinner was the event of the year, that it was the who's who in the industry, and they've never seen such a big group of the movers and shakers of the space together as they did at that dinner that night. So, and Joe found a great venue in Grand Central Station for, like you said. So it was a really, if you missed it, you really missed out.
But
yeah, I love that.
But Clark, they can do it again, because in Q1 of 2024, we're going to be doing something equally as good, if not better, in a warm place to be announced pretty soon. So you don't have to miss
warm is good. Coming from Boston, warm is welcome. Yeah, and I just love the community. I mean, for the cost of like a small booth at a big conference, you can have an annual membership in the CCA and get a lot more ROI and real value from being part of that community, coming on, this show that we do, joining our audio meetups, and just generally getting the promotion and reach that you drive online on social. It's kind of a big deal. Speaking of which, I was, I'll tell you where I was. I was on the beach in Croatia, but also at InfoBip's annual developer conference, and like 5,000 developers in one place at one event over 2 days. And, these guys and gals were amazing, developing the next banking app or the next game or the next communication service, leveraging InfoBip's, scale and reach as a CPaaS provider. And, they're a very happy member of the CCA and really, use and leverage the community really well. So yeah, that was a worthwhile diversion. I'd recommend Croatia to anyone who has a spare week and a couple grand in their pocket. So what's next? We got a lot of activity online, a lot of blogging, a lot of press releases, a lot of planning to do for the next events. Any travel coming up worth mentioning personally or with the CCA?
Let me just mention, though, what Joe just alluded to in February is Cloud Connections 2024, right? So those who went to Cloud Connections 2023 in Fort Lauderdale and saw what a big connection, yeah, right. I mean, that was great, right, Evan? And hanging out on a yacht, cruising through the Fort Lauderdale harbors there, and incredible meetings as well. So This will be bigger and better. So every cloud connections each year we plan to make bigger and better. So just Joe and I are meeting today to kind of finalize dates and venues, stuff we've been looking at, but you should see a date soon and the exact location here, but most likely kind of mid to end of February there for Cloud Connections 2024.
Oh,
And
that's
another
fantastic.
thing that CCA does too, you asked about travel, Evan. I'm going to be able to jump in my car this weekend and drive to Tampa to the Encompass meeting. So Encompass has a meeting in Tampa starting Monday. And Encompass is a regulatory body, if you will, out of Washington, D.C. CCA is a representative, is a member of Encompass, and we represent our members there. So we do a lot of stuff before the FCC with the help of the Encompass folks. So I'll be taking a trip all the way to Tampa, Florida on Monday.
That's great. And yeah, you guys do a lot of unwritten, unsexy, undocumented work behind the scenes, which is, not always obvious to people, but regulating or addressing key regulations and, governance issues which aren't trivial, right? Especially
Well,
if you look at what's
there's really
happening.
nobody that represents, is the voice, if you will, of the service providers if we're not
Hmm.
for the Cloud Communications Alliance. I mean, all the big incumbent carriers, have lots of lobbyists and people all over Washington, D.C., but there's nobody that speaks for the small service providers other than the CCA. So yeah, we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, and representing the industry.
Yeah, with the wrong legislation or FCC policies, life can be pretty tough as a cloud communications provider. We've seen that in the past. Hopefully, we don't go back there. All right, gentlemen. Well, if there are any last thoughts, would welcome those. Otherwise, we'll bid adieu. And I think we have a audio chat coming up, which if you check out the CCA website and CCA LinkedIn page, we get together and do a kind of coffee in the cloud section. But follow us on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. No, thanks, Evan. We hope to see everybody in February, Cloud Connections 2024. But it's been
Can't wait.
a fun month of September, and it's going to be awesome in February. So.
Onwards and upwards. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for